Bonnie.
Thank you.
Well, Donald Trump remains the frontrunner for the Republican presidential nomination.
And John Dickerson, host and moderator of Face the Nation, he sat down with Donald Trump earlier today. He joins us now with a little preview of what he has coming up on Sunday. So Trump's popularity, no question. Everyone's talking about him. Everyone knows him. But is that going to translate into votes?
Well, that's the big question, because particularly in Iowa, for example, there's a caucus which requires a little bit of finesse. You have to go and you have to wait basically in a high school or in a gymnasium to cast your vote. And so Republicans, a lot of them, even if they're registered Republicans, they don't turn out. And so what Donald Trump has to do is take a lot of these new people that he's brought into the system and teach them how to go through that process. That's particularly in Iowa, but he'll have to do that in every state. So you can be popular, but can you turn it into votes? That's the real question for his campaign.
Let's take a look at the party as a whole right now, especially on Capitol Hill, facing disarray. Kevin McCarthy dropped out of contention. He said, I'm not going to do this because he didn't think he had enough support, right, from fellow Republicans. So one of the names that keeps coming up is the former vice presidential candidate, Paul Ryan of Wisconsin. He says he doesn't want to do it. I don't know if everybody buys it. What do you make of this?
Well, it's funny. Donald Trump in our interview today said basically he took some credit for Kevin McCarthy stepping down because Trump had said we need somebody who's strong, and he didn't think Kevin McCarthy was strong enough. So he's putting that scalp on his wall. The Ryan thing, Ryan doesn't want his job. Doesn't want that job. He likes the job he has now, which is to be chairman of the Ways and Means Committee. He's a policy guy, and that's a fun job for him. The Speaker's job would be a nightmare because he is more like John Boehner and Kevin McCarthy than he is the ultra-conservatives who've been causing the excitement in the Republican House right now. And so he would face a lot of the same troubles that John Boehner faced. So why would he want to sign up for that job? Also, he might want to be president someday. And a bunch of fights with conservatives in his own party is not a real thing you want to accumulate before running for president.
Well, I'd like to share with our viewers your question to Mr. Trump, whether or not he would support Paul Ryan.
As a possible speaker, what do you think of Paul Ryan?
Well, I think he's somebody that probably could get good support. I think he's a very nice person. I think he doesn't want it very badly, but you never know. Maybe he's playing one of the great games of all time. It is Speaker of the House. I mean, it's a great position. But he doesn't seem to want it, but I'll bet you that if it was actually offered to him, he would take it.
So Donald Trump is kingmaker. Who knew?
Yeah.
But what about all this disunity? The party going forward, it doesn't seem to be real cohesive.
No, and it needs somebody to kind of stand and be either a bridge between those two factions or kind of set a clear direction and have people get behind them. But no clear leader emerges at the moment. I mean, Paul Ryan is the best choice at the moment, but he would have these conflicts. Donald Trump, who represents kind of the presidential version of that ultra-conservative group that's in the House, is at the top of the polls, but he doesn't represent the whole party right now. So this story has many chapters to go, and it's going to be there's going to be some bumpiness between here and the happy ending.
With no leader, what happens during the elections? How is that going to be a factor?
Well, basically, the leader of the party will become whoever gets the nomination, and they will speak most loudly for the party, and so that's why it's so important. They will speak more loudly than the leaders of Congress, the Republican leaders in Congress. So it really is up for grabs who the leader of the Republican Party is.
Okay. Face the Nation's John Dickerson, thank you. Good to see you.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
You bet. And you can see more of his interview with Donald Trump on tonight's CBS Evening News at 6:30 with Scott Pelley, and the complete interview Sunday at 10:30 on Face the Nation when John also sits down with presidential candidate Ben Carson.